Lord, please help us.
Dear Lord.
Minister to us, Lord. We want truth. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I've got a little bit of time to catch up. So this is study 2. Yesterday we looked at the difference between Egypt and Babylon, physically and spiritually. But if you're only come for the day, principles of Babylon, we're just looking at the very basic. I believe it's not strictly true, but if I say man was made for worship, worship is an expression of love. Worship doesn't prove love. Did you know that? You can worship God and not love him.
Yes.
People say, well, if you worship, you must love him. But it's not true. One day, every demon will worship God. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. That's worship. If you look up the definition of worship, it's to give due benevolence. Yes, your honour. Yes, your worship. It's acknowledging that they are above you. That's why you call somebody Lord. It's just a general word. There's no religious words. Did you know that? You can call anyone Lord. Sarah called Abram Lord. It means master, the one I come under. Okay. We've made it, a religious word. So God doesn't want worship. He wants love. And if you love, you'll worship. But if you worship, it doesn't prove love. In vain you worship me. In vain you worship me. Teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. So it's vanity. If you're teaching the doctrines of men, your worship's vanity. Yeah. You worship me with your mouth. I'm quoting the scripture if you know your Bibles. You worship me with your mouth, but your heart's far from me. So a church could be full of worship and not love God. Because if you love, you'll obey my commandments. Worship doesn't prove anything. Okay. God's presence doesn't prove anything. Satan goes up to the presence of God to accuse you. So don't mistake worship in the presence of God for God himself. But nevertheless, God wants worship, because when you really love, then you worship. And if you get to know the real God, he's scary, he's a fearful judge, but he's a tremendous lover as well. And that's very attractive. Children love parents who love them and discipline them. Parents who say, oh, I love my kids, I give them everything they want. Oh, I wouldn't chastise my child, I love him too much. That's not love. Love without discipline is mere sentiment. Shall I say that again? Love without discipline is emotionalism. Said, oh, I don't want to harm my child. Well, then you don't love him. A boss has to discipline his staff. Children have to discipline the parents. Pastors sometimes have to excommunicate people because they love the church. Love without discipline is sentiment. So when you find the real God, when God reveals himself to people and you realise he sent his son to die for the world, it's very attractive. It's very difficult to resist real love. Do you know that? If you really love a woman, it's very difficult to say no. There's so many men just seduce women, and women get a bit prickly and frightened of it. But real love's very difficult to refuse. I'm talking about real love, not emotionalism, not, nice chat-ups. I'm talking about the real thing, very difficult. And so God reveals himself so that we can love him. And you can't love more than sending his son to die for us. Why am I saying that? Because Satan wants to be like God. Therefore, he will want worship. He will want love. Satan wants love. All right, basic principle. Satan wants love. Why? Because he wants to be like God. And Satan craves worship more than manipulation, world domination, or perversion of God's order. They're all a means to satisfy his burning desire to be worshipped. If you only get that one principle this morning, Satan has a burning desire to be worshipped. Not many people know that. Most people promoting the one world order have no idea what the end of the one world order is. They think it's world domination. It's not. World domination, controlling everything on the planet, is a means to an end. It's a means to worship Satan.
Yes, definitely.
That's the bottom line. And the politicians, the people who are leading us, OWO, that one world order, okay. All the politicians are taking the world into the one world order, and they don't even know the end game. They're pawns. They've been deceived themselves. Satan's the greatest deceiver. Satan has two characteristics like God. You can only describe God with opposites. God is 100% merciful. Okay? But he's also 100% just, which is a contradiction. Can't have justice and mercy at the same time, can you? If I'm just, I don't show mercy. Justice said, you've committed murder, I have to punish you. I have to do it. That's just. You're not wrong to punish evil. But mercy says, I'm going to set aside judgment and show mercy. I'm not going to do what should be done. This man is guilty. He deserves punishment, but I'm not going to do it. So to administer mercy, you've got to set aside justice. So God's a contradiction. So is Satan. On one side is a deceiver. The devil means deceiver. So he comes along and deceives you, and then when he's deceived you, he goes to God and accuses you of what you've done, what he deceived you with. It's the two words, devil means deceiver, and then Satan means adversary. Right. So he tricks you, he deceives you, you sin, and then he goes to God and says, look what Maurice Barratt's done, the rat. He goes and accuses me to God. The first tool that Satan uses is one of deception. He didn't come and accuse Eve, he deceived her, okay? Whenever the devil comes to you, it's not to accuse you, it's to deceive you. When he's deceived you, he accuses you. So the devil never comes with accusation to a Christian. Hey, listen, if the devil's accusing you, it's because he's already deceived you. You better remember that, haven't you? If the devil accuses you, he's got something to accuse you of, therefore he's already deceived you. Think about that, okay? Never feel accusation from the devil, it's an admission you've been deceived. So his first tool is seduction. Why? Did you know the devil does not want to use force? Yeah, but he's a murderer, isn't it? I know. His first tool is always deception. Why? Because he wants to be like God. So if he can deceive you to worship him from your own free will without force, he's like God. Do you understand? That's his first tool. It doesn't matter if it's indirect. God wants indirect worship. Does he, Maurice? Oh, yeah. God doesn't want direct worship. It's got to be through Jesus. Everything's in the name of Jesus. We can't come to the Father except through the Son. Is that right? Did you know God wants a mediator? Doesn't want it direct. That's why he has a priesthood. Even before creation, he had Melchizedek, who had no father and mother, not flesh and blood. God wants a priesthood. God wants mediation for worship. I don't know why. I'm not that clever. I'm not a theologian. I just know that he does. If he had a priesthood without beginning of days, end of life, not flesh and blood, that's before creation. And a priesthood is always an intercessor, an intermediary. Is that right? Satan's the same. So Satan doesn't mind indirect worship. He's looking for an antichrist to point the way to him. So if you worship the devil through Michael Jackson or a politician or a football star and anything else, because anything you worship is antichrist, against Christ, then he's deceived you. He's deceived you. Christians worship all sorts of idols and don't know it. That's the nearest he gets to be like God. When he deceives you to worship him, you don't have to be a Satan worshipper. All right? Well, his second tool, if it doesn't work, he'll use force. He's so desperate, see, God will not use force. If God can't woo you with love, you've got a free will. But Satan's so desperate, so besotted with needing the attention, the egotism, that if he can't use deception, he'll use force. And we'll see as we go through the series, when we get to Nebuchadnezzar, he deceives them. Come and have a celebration. And they all came to the celebration. Read the words carefully. They came to a celebration of the statue. When they got there, it wasn't a celebration. It was a worship service. They were deceived. When they all stood before the statue, the kings, the princes, the judges, etc., he said, it is commanded you. They were invited for a celebration to dedicate the statue. Invited. But when they got it, it is commanded that you bow down and worship. If you don't do it willingly, he'll use force. But that's his second tool. He wants to deceive you. So you do it from your own free will. So he's like God, receiving free will worship. But if it doesn't work, he'll use force. Daniel, lion's den, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. If you won't do it voluntarily, the heat's coming. I've got the fiery furnace. The devil's lake of fire. The lake of fire is God's, not Satan's. God sends people to the lake of fire. The devil's a liar. He tells people I'm the God of hellfire. No, he's just got the fiery furnace to perfect the saints. That's not the lake of fire. When you go in the fiery furnace, all it does is free the things that tie you. We could do with a few Christians getting thrown in the fiery furnace. Because they went in bound and they came out free. The things that you can't get rid of, the fiery furnace will burn up. Okay. You all need to go through the fiery furnace, don't you? Well, you look sad. You all need to go in the lion's den. Yeah. Listen, it's not a children's Bible story, Daniel. It's what you've got to go through. The Bible is God's dealing with God's people. That's why it doesn't mention people outside that he doesn't deal with. This is God's dealing with his own people. So you've got to have a lion's den experience. You've got to go through the fiery furnace. You've got to go through a Gethsemane. You've got to say, my God, why have you forsaken me? Like David and Jesus. It's how God deals with his own people that he loves. If you love him, you'll have to say, my God, why have you forsaken me? David was a man after God's own heart. Jesus had the heart of God. And he says, why, oh my God. So if you've not got to that yet, you'll get there. If you follow Jesus. If you don't get there, it's because you're following someone else. You've got to go through this. You've got to have a Joseph and be betrayed by your own brethren. Yes. Haven't you? Yes. You've got to go through it all. So his second tool is force. And we know the history repeats itself, don't we? We're going to look at Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon in later studies and see that history just repeats itself. If you know history, you know the future. And each time as we come to it, we'll look at the Tower of Babel this weekend. Next conference, we'll look at Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. And you'll see that each time there's a physical manifestation. So the spirit started in Eden. I'm going to look at the roots next study. It all started with Eve. Eve was the first whore. Eve was the first Babylon. Babylon's the whore, the woman. So Eve was the first one prostituting herself. We'll look at that. But the first physical manifestation was Cain a little bit, the murderous spirit of Babylon. But it came to fruition at the flood and then the Tower of Babel. But each time there's a little bit more information for us. Nebuchadnezzar was the last one. The Babylonian Empire controlled the whole world at that time, the known world. And therefore, that's the nearest that we can look at to the one that we're in now. Because in that one, they had a statue that they all bowed to. Revelation 13, the Antichrist sets up a statue that all the world have to worship. It's exactly when you hear the sound of the music, the sound. But that's why there's an epidemic of world music, to get us to bow to Satan. The rock industry is Satan's music, preparing us for the Antichrist to bow. Nebuchadnezzar is a wonderful example of the Antichrist. We'll look at it. So nothing changes once you know history. The first deception that Satan used, I'll say the devil because that's deceiver. The strategy he used in the Garden of Eden, he'll use with you. He'll use with the world. It never changes. The way to God never changes. The way to Satan never changes. And he still uses the same old strategy. And what was his strategy? We could have a study, couldn't we? Each one's a Bible study, Eve's deception. Two things. He promised a hidden wisdom. You'll know what you don't know now. You'll know the mystery of good and evil. She didn't know that, did she? Because the tree that she shouldn't eat of was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It wasn't the tree of good and evil. It was the hidden knowledge, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God knew good and evil. They didn't. They weren't meant to know good and evil. And now you're saved, neither should you. You should be amoral. Just obey God. Hidden wisdom and immortality. That's very important. Babylon is to do with offering people immortality without God. The alternative. The alternative. He said, you will not die. Well, if I say you won't die, I'm saying you will live forever. Is that right?
That's right.
He told her she'd live forever.
Yes.
It's funny because she was living forever anyway.
Yes.
Not because she had an eternal body. Did you know Adam and Eve had flesh and blood? Adam and Eve would have died.
Yes.
Because they were flesh and blood. They came from the earth. Adam and Eve would have gone back to the earth. The only reason they didn't, they had access to the tree of life. And the tree of life keeps mortal men in flesh and blood living forever. And he said, disobey God and you'll live forever. I'll give you an alternative to the tree of life. You'll be like God because God doesn't have to eat of the tree of life. And you'll be like God. You'll know good and evil. You'll know the mysteries to keep you living forever without the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Have you got the plot? That's what he was offering her. You won't die. You'll live forever my way. And that's the mystery of Babylon. That's why the devil has inspired men to learn about DNA. I'll explain about it in the later things. It's about immortality. That's why we've got a mass of films about demons coming and superpowers. Batman, Superman.
Iron Man.
They're all antichrist. The humans with superpowers. We're getting close now to where we're getting post-humanism. Where we're post-human, where actually we're transhuman, where we're half human and half we're hybrid. We can do it with DNA. And demons are waiting to come and possess those people. Because a human spirit can only go in a human body. A dog spirit can only go in a dog. But if you change your DNA and you're either human or an animal, you're a candidate for a demon. And there's millions of coming down to earth. There's millions of demons coming down to earth. Did you know? Read Revelation 12. When the devil's cast out of heaven, there'll be millions of demons cast out with him. What they're going to do? They're not going to float around. They're going to inhabit people. That's what they want to do. That's what it's about. That's the alien invasion. Millions of demons coming to possess these hybrid people. All right, if it seems a bit fantastic, wait till the next conference. I'll explain it all. Just reserve your judgment, all right? I've not said enough to give you any ammunition, so leave it. What was Jesus offered in the wilderness by Satan? World domination. If you will fall down and worship me. That's what he wanted. That was the ultimate test for Jesus. The first two temptations were to see if he was the Christ. When he was, he didn't say if. He offered him a deal. He says, I'll let you be the Antichrist. I'll let you have world domination. The kingdom, the power and the glory, Jesus, can be yours. All the glory of the kingdoms and the power thereof. That's what the devil offers. The kingdom, the power and the glory. What was the condition? You fall down and worship me. That's what he wanted of Jesus, worship. Power, status, wealth, immortality is the bait of worship Satan, of Satan worship. Did you know the church are falling for the third temptation? They want the kingdom, they want the power, and they want the glory. That's what Satan offered Jesus. If you're seeking the kingdom, the power, and the glory, you've fallen for the third temptation. You're already worshipping Satan. He said, I'll give you them all if you fall down and worship me. So a church that's got it must have done it. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you've already got it, if you've got the power, if you're the kingdom and you've got all the glory, then you've fallen for the third temptation. Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan, I don't want it. I'll wait till I go through the cross and get the inheritance. And a Christian who lived this life and wait for the coming kingdom to reign with Christ has not fallen. So that's why Satan needs the world's money to force worship if you won't bow voluntarily. If you're taking notes, I said that these are the principles. Let me give you them. Number one, Satan wants to be like God. I've covered them. Number two, seduction's his first tool. Number three, second tool, force. Fourth, history repeats itself. These are principles of Babylon. And number five, Satan's system needs to hold the world's money, because money is control, isn't it? Henry Kissinger, you know he's an advocate of the one world system, don't you? Yeah. You should do by now. He's been preaching it long enough. That's what Henry Kissinger says. He's an Ashkenazi Jew, counterfeit Jew, synagogue of Satan. If you control the oil, you control the nations. Yeah. You know that. They can bring us to our knees. They keep putting the price up, don't they? Yeah. Why? There's no shortage of oil. There's trillions of barrels of oil under Alaska, and they've sealed it up. That's America for a start. There's no shortage of oil. There never has been. It's about control. That's control the nation. Control food, you control the people. Did you know that most of the food is now nearly controlled? Do you know in America, it's what they call vertical integration. I'll explain it in later ones. It means the food chain from the cow in the field, well, they're not in fields anymore. There's millions of cows in America now never see grass. They're worse than poultry chickens, battery chickens. And they're already assigned to Walmart or the supermarkets. A farmer cannot start a cattle farm in America now because everything's tied up. You haven't got to deal with the food chain. And the food chain is vertical integration from the factory, because the factory is now where they produce cows, not fields. Feed them junk, and it's in our food chain. Antibiotics. You have antibiotics every day if you eat meat, it's in the food chain. They know what they're doing, break down your immune systems. And it's vertical integration, so it's all tied up. Nobody can get into the food chain now. Monopolies own it. They're controlling the food, you control the world. So that's why the devil's doing it, not because he wants control, it's worship that he's desperate for. So he needs to have means that the whole world will be deceived to worship him, and if not, you don't take the mark, you don't buy or sell. It's about control for worship, not about control. Okay? Do you understand now why all the world's based economies are based on covetousness? Do you know we have debt-based economy? What sort of economy is that? Think about it. What sort of economy is it when it's a debt-based economy? Isn't that contrary to economics? Think about it. They say, well, you've got to be in debt. Countries are in debt. You need to be in debt. Everyone needs to be. Everyone's in debt. Everyone's in debt. Why? Because you're greedy. Because you want things that you shouldn't have till you've got the money to buy them. But you want them with no money, so you go on credit and you get trapped. Proverbs 22:7. When you borrow money, you become the servant of the people who lend it to you. The rich ruleth over the poor. If you've got credit, you're poor. America is poor. America used to be the world's greatest lender nation, is that right? Now America, the most powerful nation in the world, is the world's biggest debtor nation. Last time I looked, it was $11.75 trillion they owe. That's how much America owes. $11.75 trillion. Well, if America's the richest nation in the world and they owe $7.75 trillion, who do they owe it to? If they're the richest, who do they owe it to? There must be people who are bigger than the richest country in the world, yeah? The bankers, the World Bankers. IMF's nothing to do with America. The World Bank's nothing to do with America. The BIS, Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, has nothing to do with any country. It's outside. They control them. And so they lend money to every country in the world is in debt, bar a few. Do you know why they went to, what's his name? What's one of the dictators they brought down? Not Saddam Hussein, later than that. Gaddafi, Colonel Gaddafi. Do you know why they brought him down? You probably don't know this, because Colonel Gaddafi had a massive amount of gold. And he was going to produce with Indonesia his own currency and get out of the World Bank entrapment. That's why they brought him down. Nothing to do with oil. Oil's just for us mugs, you know. Oh, it's about the oil, they want to capture the oil. He was trying to get out of the banking system because he had enough gold to back the currency. I'll explain it. Currency used to be backed by gold, you see. Yeah. So he was going to do his own money. And they said, we can't allow you. You can't get out of the banking system. No country will ever get out now. Iceland has just tried to. They reneged on the debt, said we're getting out. Watch them. The people won't let them. The country will not let them. When you've got no electricity, when you've got no food, you'll tell your government, do whatever you need to do. We'll be slaves, but we need our TV. So for God's sake, put the electricity on. The country won't live without TV, will they? They won't. They'll pay any price to keep the television on because they can't watch Manchester United. And the X Factor, goodness me. How can you live without the X Factor? Even Christians are running home, the pastor's a bit late. Well, this X Factor. Pathetic, isn't it? Pathetic. Borrowing money with usury. Did you know the Bible forbids lending with usury to your own? Can you understand why God calls money filthy lucre? It's not against money, it's about covetousness. Mammon is riches, not money. There's a difference. Riches is a spirit, covetousness. Did you know covetousness is idolatry? Flee all these things. Mortify, kill those things in your life, Christians. Kill fornication, get rid of it, uncleanness, inordinate affection, loving things that you shouldn't. That includes your cat and your nice home and your car, anything. Anything that you love is inordinate affection. It's a challenge against God. Evil concupiscence and covetousness, which is idolatry. What's the idol? You. I want. I'm the idol. You're the God. You need satisfied. God needs satisfied. I want this and I want that. You're playing at God. Covetousness is idolatry, and you're the idol. You need satisfying.
What's concupiscence?
Concupiscence, I hoped he wouldn't ask me that. Lasciviousness, partying, revelling, and the such like. All right, did you know God didn't intend our currency to be backed by gold? In fact, God didn't intend us to have currency. He didn't say, well, Adam and Eve, there's the garden, there's all the fruit trees, and there's a few quid to be going on with, and I've put a credit machine just left of the tree of life. They didn't need money, did they?
Yeah.
Why didn't they need money? What? Because all the food was for free. There was no fashion. Unless you want to tie your hair a different way every day. Or twiddle your bird a bit differently. There was no fashion because they had no clothes. Wasn't it wonderful? No fashion. We're all on a level plane, you see. Fashion means I'm better than you because I have designer clothes. You have Astor.
George.
It's to do with elitism, isn't it, fashion? It's a statement. It's not to... Clothes were to keep you warm and to cover your nakedness, not to make a fashion statement. I'm cool, I'm smart, I'm scruffy. If I've got 3 cows and I want some bread, well, I give you a cow and I give me some wheat.
That's right.
That's what we do. You don't need money, do you? Barter system. Did you know it was Babylon that introduced paper money and promissory notes? Did you know a pound's worth nothing, is it?
Nope.
It's a promissory note. I promise to pay the bearer on demand. So it's worth nothing. It's a promissory note. But it's okay because it was backed by the gold. When the bank gave you a pound, he said, I promise to pay the bearer. The Bank of England promised to pay you a pound. And they could do it because they had a pound's worth of gold in the bank. They stored gold. Physical bars of gold in the bank. Fort Knox was full of gold. The Bank of England had gold. Did you know Fort Knox is empty? Did you know there's no gold now? Did you know the Bank of England has no gold? We've got what's called fiat money. Have you heard that word? F-I-A-T. Fiat money. Oh, there's a quote. Put the quote up, Jay. Just to let them know I'm intelligent. All right. So it's not out of my own head. There's a quote from George Glaston, all right, from my book, The Richest Man in Babylon. The original inventors of money, of means of exchange, promissory notes, and written deeds to property came from Babylon. Don't you think that's interesting? Okay, next one, Jody. Right. Fiat, F-I-A-T, that's not a motor car, okay. Fiat money, it has no value. Did you know that all the money in the world has no value? The world's bankers print it at will and then charge interest on it. Costs them nothing to print it because it's worth nothing. All right, I'll give you a definition of fiat money so you understand. This is from, educated people, not from me. Currency that a government has declared to be legal tender despite the fact it has no intrinsic value. This is your money. And is not backed by reserves. Historically, most currencies were based on physical commodities such as gold or silver. They had the silver dollar at one time in America. It was based on silver, then gold. Most of the world's paper money is fiat money, not linked to physical reserves, so risks become worthless due to hyperinflation. If people lose faith in a nation's paper currency, money no longer holds any value. That's how, with a flick of the switch, they can bankrupt the world because your money's not worth anything. You can't say, well, I've got no money, but it doesn't matter, I've got some gold. The banks have no gold to back it up. They could pull the plug on the whole banking system easily because money doesn't exist. It's all based on trust. I go to Belgium and I stay with a man who's a banker. And he said it's all based on trust. I said, is it no value? No, he said it's all on trust. That's why the IMF bail banks out because they don't want to run on, they don't want to collapse it till they're ready. So they keep bailing them out, put trillions of dollars into banks to keep them afloat till they're ready to pull the plug. Okay. All right. The use of the gold standard, just in case you don't know, it's good to be educated, isn't it? The use of the gold standard would mark the first use of formalised exchange rates in history. However, the system was flawed. It wasn't flawed. They said it was flawed to get rid of the gold. All right, but it was flawed because countries needed to hold large reserves of gold. Well, what's wrong with that? You don't need big warehouses, It weighs very heavy. You can have trillions of dollars in your house worth of gold. So there's no problem, is it? But, in order to keep up the volatile nature of supply and demand, there should be no volatile nature. That's man-made. Recession, inflation, it's man-made. There's no such thing. It's just control. After World War II, a modified version of the gold standard monetary system, the Bretton Woods, that's to do with the Rothschilds, was created as its successor, slowly getting rid of real money. This successor system was initially successful. Of course it was. And then they said, oh, it's no good. They're slowly getting rid of it. But because it also depended heavily on gold reserves, it was abandoned in 1971. President Nixon closed the gold window and got rid of all the gold from Fort Knox. The Rothschilds now own about 80% of the world's gold. 80% of the world's gold. Okay. Now wealth is an illusion. Let me give you illustrations. Culture and art are good examples of the illusion of wealth. Let's take a painting. Let's take a Michelangelo. How much was it worth when he painted it?
No.
Piece of canvas?
9 shillings.
Some paint?
No.
In fact, a sweat frame, I used to know a bit about the art business. You know these nice sweat frames? Well, a sweat frame would cost more than a painting because some canvas and some paint not cost much, would it? A sweat frame could cost you £500. The canvas and paint probably cost you 50 quid. So it's not of great value, is it? Why is it now worth 20 million? I used to mix with art dealers. And this is what they do. They have a painting and they go to somebody who wants to invest. Because wealthy people invest in gold and art, don't they? So they say, we've got a painting here, it's worth £5,000. Somebody determines what it's worth. All right, it's fine art, it's good, it's quality, so it's worth £5 grand. That's great. So it's an investment. He says, you know, in a few years it'll be worth more. And you believe him, because he's right. So you buy it for £5 grand, you hang it on your wall and stick it in the bank vault. And then in 3 or 4 years, he rings you up. Oh, can I come and see you? And he comes to see you. He says, you won't believe it. You know that painting I sold you for £5 grand? It's worth £7 grand now. He says, in fact, I've got another one in my car worth 12 grand. So you need to invest. So he allows you £7 grand on the painting you bought for 5. You put another few grand and get this painting worth 12. So it's already gone up £2,000, hasn't it, in 3 years, from 5,000 to 7. So now he takes the £7,000 painting, leaves you with the 12 grand one. Hope you can follow this. And he goes to somebody else. And he says, I've got this painting. Now he gave £7 grand for it, didn't he?
Yeah.
On paper. He gave £3 grand for it first and sold it for 5. But now he gave 7 for it in allowance against another. So he says it's worth 7. So I need another couple of grand profit because they work on big profits. So now he needs to get 9 grand for it. So he sells it somebody for 9 grand. So it's gone up 4 grand. And then they go back to them. And over the years, every time it goes to Sotheby's, every time it goes to it, it's gone up. And it's inflated the price when it's worth the same. So in the end, you know, once he gives 50 grand for it, he's going to ask 55. Do you understand how it works? The illusion. Football stars. If you pay £1 million for a footballer, you know, his price goes up. They started worth 3.5 crowns, didn't they? Do you remember what half a crown was?
Yeah, 2 and 6.
Yeah, 2 and 6, half a crown, yeah. So they used to be worth 3.5 crowns, footballers. Now they're worth tens of millions. But he still plays football. He's only still got 2 legs, not 3. He can't dribble better than Stanley Matthews even now. They're not better than George Best now, are they? The best footballers. But I'll tell you what, they're worth 50 times what George Best was worth. Why? The artificial inflation of money. And everything's done that. Your bread goes up, your food goes up, everything goes up. It's artificial. It's not worth any more, honestly. The illusion of wealth. Just remember that. Don't get into the system. Stop borrowing. Cut your cards up and pay it off. Get debt free. But the system needs the control. Do you know God's way? Acts 2:44. Do you know whenever revival comes, we revert back to God's way? Isn't it funny? How do you know you're not in revival? Because you're still interested in money. You're still interested in things. Do you know when revival comes, this is what happens? Put it up, Jody. When people are full of God, another system operates automatically, subconsciously. You don't have to say, let's get out of Babylon. You're so full of the love of God, covetousness disappears. And you gravitate back. Every revival, if it's not this, it's not true revival. Bring the scriptures, Jay. And all the believers were together, had all things common, sold their possessions and goods, and every man parted to them as every man had need. That's not communism. Didn't say everyone was equal. Didn't say everyone sold a house. They met from house to house, didn't they? So how can they meet from house to house if they sold them all? We're talking about surplus. I don't need that now. I don't need this. I've got God, so what do I need a caravan for to go at the weekend? To be caravan because I'm meeting with God's people every weekend. I better sell it and feed the poor. The exact opposite of covetousness. The exact opposite. Another scripture, Jane. The multitude of them that believed were of one heart. That's revival. Amen. That's revival. No church splits, no bickering, no moaning, no groaning. No having roast pasta for dinner.
Amen.
Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed was his own. That's the opposite of covetousness. They are all things common and with great power. See how the great power comes from getting rid of covetousness. And with great power the apostles gave witness of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. And great grace was upon them. Not great greed. Have you read the right word? Grace, not greed. Great grace was upon them. Neither was there any among them that lacked. For as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them, brought the prices. And distribution was made, every man according to his needs. We have different needs, don't we? If I've got 5 kids, I'll need more than you with 2 or none. If I'm married, I'll need more than you if you're single. It wasn't let's all share it out equal. It's just where the needs were. I can't understand these faith preachers. They black money to buy themselves a Mercedes and a jet. Why don't they stand at the door with a fistful of money and say, you can't pay the rent this week? Here, love. Isn't it blessed to give than receive? Why are they taking money? Why are they not giving it? Because they're not in revival, they're in greed and covetousness. And they stink. They stink, honestly. Taking money off old widows. It's terrible, isn't it? And running around in jets, that's despicable. That's Babylon to the core. If you can't see that, I don't know why you're here, honestly. Isn't it funny when churches come together, they do the very opposite. They embrace the principles of Babylon. And as soon as, I've got 20 churches now, you're the treasurer, and if we pool our resources and politics, we better vote, because we need team leadership and we bring politics into, amazing. My own denomination assemblies have got their official bankers. What's that got to do with the Holy Ghost banking and charging interest? Tell me. All right, let me get off that hobby horse. Number 6. Babylon always goes west. Not only the Americans go west. They went west because they were spreading Babylon. Go west, young man. Spread Babylon. It started in the east, didn't it? God planted a garden where? In the east. It said it was in the east, and it was facing east. All right. So if it's facing east, I'm looking east. All right. So the door's over there, isn't it? Because it was facing the east. When you went out of it, you saw the east. Is that right? If it's facing east. So when God banished Adam and Eve from the paradise, he placed cherubim and a flaming sword on the east side. On the east side. So that's where they went out, on the east side, to stop them coming in. Does that make sense? So he placed it on the east side where the entrance was, because that's where they went out, to stop them coming in. So Adam originally went east, out of the garden. Okay. Cain also went east. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. So Adam and Eve had gone out and they had children. And he dwelt in Nod, which was the east of Eden. All right, so they had to go out east because that was the only entrance. They couldn't go out west, there was no door.
Right.
There was one door, obviously, and the cherubim guarded it. Okay, so God put them out. What happened now? After the flood, Babylon progressed westward. And it's always extended westward. It's now almost circumnavigated the world. Right. Now India and China are following the west. Yes. China do not play Chinese pop songs. They play American pop songs. The Chinese are wearing English fashions, Western fashions, not Chinese. When I go to Africa, they don't wear African dress anymore. When I go to Kenya, I'm more African than them because I wear the African shirts, the big long. I say, what's up with you? Why are you following us? We're decadent. Why are you having a suit and tie? That's the West. That's Babylon. Why are you copying us? I challenge them. Stay African. You're proud to be black. Well, proud to have the black culture and wear your clothes. But in China, they're copying our fashion. They're copying our rock music. They're copying our philosophy. The whole world's getting Babylonianized, and it's gone full circle. And when it gets back to the east, the one world system will be there. That's why the democracies in the east are getting pulled down. The west are bringing these democracies down. They're the last bastion of the east, and they're coming down. All right, let me show you. Right. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east. That means they're going west. If I'm going from the east, that's the east. We've decided that. But well, if I'm going from it, I'm going away from it, so I'm going west. All right? East is opposite to west. You know that, don't you? So Babylon started to go west. It's gone west ever since. I've got some slides the next conference when we look at Nebuchadnezzar, and you'll see the empire of Babylon, then the Medes and the Persians, then the Romans, then the British Empire, and you'll see each time it's extended west, 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 west. Every world empire has gone west. Then we got America and Europe, didn't we? 500 years ago, there was no America. That wasn't part of a world empire, was it? But now it's embraced that which is west. I go to the East Coast, Connecticut, New England states, they call them New England, because first we went to this side of America, but then they said go west, so they went California, the other side, extended it. Always starts in the east and goes to the west. Then from there it's gone further round to the other countries. Okay, we'll look at that more. And that's just a principle that it goes west. Number 7, very fundamental. Satan's system and Satan is not the opposite of God.
No.
Christians think that Satan is the opposite of God. That his plan is opposite. God's good, the devil's bad. God's light, he's darkness. It's not true. The devil comes as an angel of light, not as darkness. His ministers come as ministers of righteousness, not ministers of blasphemy. Do you know why he's not the opposite? He wants to be the same, so he's the counterfeit. There's a big difference. A counterfeit is not opposite. Education, that's a £10 note. Okay. If I want to deceive you, that this is a £10 note, if it's not, what do I do? Do I make it striped and put other images on? Do I make it different? I make it exactly the same to deceive you. If I want to deceive you, I've got to make a counterfeit, not an opposite. Does that make sense? So if Satan is trying to take the place of God, he will not be the opposite, he'll be the counterfeit. He wants exactly the same as God. He wants love from a free will. He wants worship. He wants you to give your whole life to him. Sell your soul to him. He wants exactly the same as God. So he's not going to bring something opposite. He's going to bring a counterfeit. That's why Christians are deceived. That's why the world's deceived. Because they're looking and don't discern the counterfeit. That's how clever it is. The devil offered Eve the same as God, immortality. He didn't offer her death. He didn't say, if you eat of this tree, you'll live forever. But if you serve me, you'll die. He said, you will not die. I can give you eternal life my way. Can you see that's counterfeit, not opposite? Satan always offers light. Buddha. Why is there always a bright light around Buddha? Enlightenment. It's always revelation, enlightenment, the New Age, enlightenment. All right, we'll look more at it. It's a great subtlety. That's why it's called the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, because they worship Satan. That's why a lot of rock records, Christy Burr, Into the Light, why would they make a record called Into the Light? Why would Pink Floyd have a prism on the front of their album with a ray of light going through the spectrum into the colour? Why do they use light and revelation? Because they're serving the devil and he offers them light. It's the counterfeit alternative, not the opposite. Great subtlety. And number 8, this will finish it now. Mystery Babylon. The last principle is perhaps the most fundamental and maybe the least understood. God calls it Mystery Babylon. And very few, even, never mind Christians, those who are in it, politicians, people in the New Age, they don't know the mystery. The key is what Satan said to Eve. Did you know how many words he spoke to Eve? If you check your authorised version and read how many words that the devil spoke to Eve. Well, don't count them, I've done it. He spoke 46 words to Eve. The chromosomes you need for life. Do you need 23 plus 23? Is that right, Doctor? Yeah?
Yeah.
You need 46 chromosomes for life. He spoke 46 words. That's prophetic. I'm not going more into it. I'm whetting your appetite for when we get to the next one. Because DNA is essential. Discovering the secrets of DNA is essential for the devil to reveal to man, to make us these post-human people, so he can inhabit. And it's not by chance. 46 is an occult number. It's part of the mystery of Babylon. You will not die. I can give you life. I've got the secret, Eve. He spoke 46 words to her. She wouldn't know that. The occult is about numerology, about symbols. You've no idea what experiments they're doing. So you can see where we're going. So he said they wouldn't die. You will not die. It's offering him more. That's the secret. The devil wants to inhabit people so they live forever. So they can't die. Because after death, the judgment. It's appointed man wants to die. And after death, the judgment. Oh, hallelujah. The world will say, if I don't die, I never have to face God. Think about that. If the devil can keep you living forever, you'll never have to face your maker, will you? He knows what he's doing. Think about what I'm saying. It all makes sense. He says, I've got the key. I'm going to... DNA will come. He says, now, through demons, revealed to us the secrets of DNA. Do you know most of these discoveries? The man who in 1950 discovered DNA, you know, he had a dream that night and got the answer. They come from demons. Yeah. All inventions are going to prove, whether it's the motor car, splitting the atom, they come from demons. Knowledge will increase, man will run to and fro. The devil has got to impart this knowledge to fulfill his plan. You don't have to have a motor car to be holy, or a television, or a mobile phone. You don't need anything to be holy and a child of the living God. Every invention is to take you away from God and fulfill Mystery Babylon. All right. This is Babylon's Holy Grail. Do you know what alchemy is about? It's not about turning lead into gold. That's just a physical thing. It's about making men into immortals. That's what alchemy is really about. Einstein, Newton, all these people who you think were Christians, because they say, oh, we believe in God. Well, it's on the American dollar, entering God we trust. But it's Satan. It's not our God. And so, of course, they believed in God. They got funded from the government, didn't they? We're supposed to be a Christian nation. Alchemy is about turning men into immortal. So that's why genetic engineering is a vital part of the devil's plan. So why we have an academic of TV and film stories about humans with superpowers. It's all building up to the final Babylon. The race of gods who were human with satanic fathers. Don't forget, before the flood, which is a type of where we are now, the first time destroyed by water, the last time by fire, there were giants in the earth because angels came and mated with the daughters of men. That's going to happen again. They already have happened. There's going to be a quantum leap of evolution. All right, if this sounds crazy, if I'm saying things that you think, has Maurice lost it, just wait as we go through history and find where we are now, because I'll bring the facts, okay, and you can check them out. So don't write it off if you're not sure. Just say, okay, sounds a bit crazy, but all right. Don't make the judgment, that's what I'm saying, yet. If at the end you think I'm crazy, that's great. I'll still shake your hand. It's okay. But let me present the facts. So let's finish there. Let's have a coffee.